Hi all, and welcome to another special episode of Cybeers this week. So this is our second special episode of Cybeers to come in a couple of days. And again, I'm looking around the room and there's no beers on the table, and that's because it is again 9:30 in the morning, coming all the way from Las Vegas here specifically for DEF CON that we mentioned in the previous video. So again, joined by Richard Grainger, Global Head of Digital Forensics and Incident Response. Welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
Milan, who is Digital Forensics Incident Response Analyst. Welcome.
Thanks for having me again.
And Chris, Level 3 Security Analyst. Welcome.
A pleasure as always.
So, team, we're here to talk about DEF CON.
Yep.
We've been in Austin for the Sans DEFA Summit. We've done our B-sides, Las Vegas rundown, and now we do the rundown on the couple of days that has been DEF CON that feels like it's been a week. I know I'm ready to go home. It's a great environment to be in, but you've always got to be on. There's always something happening from the presentations during the day, the networking events that happen. Hallway Con is the one that I love the most between Hallway Con and Lobby Con at the Link Bar. I think they're my two favourite parts of DEF CON. So then the lack of sleep and everything just catches up with you, and I'm ready to go home. So Milan, take us through your DEF CON experience. What's been the last couple of days for you? We've done a lot together, but there's a lot we've done separately as well.
Yes, so this was my first time, as you all know. And the first thing that we did was getting the badge. It was easy for us because we were pre-registered, but we saw some line cons going on there for just getting the badge. So it was a bit of a hassle for a few people.
Yeah, and LineCon starting at 5 a.m. I've not done it before, and I just don't know if I could ever bring myself to do it. It's a bit much.
It'd be a bit rough.
Yeah, not for me either. And then on the first day, we actually did a CTF. Richard, myself, and Matt, who is not here, but we did CTF, and we got through some things. It was interesting CTF. There were some generalized questions for everyone. There were some really technical questions.
There was one you were stuck on for quite a while, wasn't there?
Yes. So there were some questions about emails, but we couldn't figure out how to get the data about the emails.
Yeah.
Because there were like 6 different tools which none of us never used, and we were trying to figure out how to get those data about email, but we couldn't.
Yeah.
And then yesterday we didn't get time because of the talk, so we didn't finish the CTF, but it was really fun doing that CTF and learning new things about probably 6 different tools. And the CTF was based on ICS technologies. So
that's cool.
Yes, so it was something new for me because I haven't worked on any incident where ICS was involved. So it was really good learning for me.
Look, and I make no secret of it. I love OT security. It's something that I've always been passionate about since my Perth days. I got to spend some time doing that. So really happy to hear that the ICS came into it, and you start to get more experience from that. That's what this is all about. What about any presentations you went to? Is there anything that really sticks out in your mind?
There was this panel that we went to yesterday. They were talking about general IT and general IR, how it works, how it affects the organization and stuff like that. But the thing that stuck to me from that was that usually people talk about the tech side of things, but they were also talking about the effects on other people in the industry, like other people in the company, which we don't really talk about. But we know from firsthand, right, dealing with incidents, everyone in the company is affected, from CEO to receptionist to their general IT, their support staff, everyone. So it was really cool to have a chat with someone about in the panel.
We see it a lot, don't we, during incident response?
Yeah.
The effect and toll that it takes on people. We've discussed it previously during Cybeers.
And people locked out of systems just can't work.
Yeah. Organisation
won't
goes
get
offline.
paid. It's big impact.
Well, the organisation can't run, right?
Yeah.
If they're not able to get into the IT systems, and this comes back to people always saying, well, why do they want my data? Well, why? We've got nothing. We don't need to do anything about it. So it's not about the data they want anymore. It's to take the systems offline, which covered that at great length. So you'll notice in the middle of the table as well the DEF CON cap. So we talked about line cons, and I think that's something you said to me, Rich. That was definitely a merch con. I stood in line for an hour and a half to get a hat, only to get to the front and find out that all of the shirts were sold out and all the hoodies were gone. And then someone said, oh, you can do it through Hacker Tracker, which is the app that you use to track everything. But then you put it into your basket and it's gone within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's pointless by the time you get to the front of the line. What was your experience with being our second time around? We came last year. This year just seemed chaotic.
It's just massive. It's so much bigger than anything we have in Australia for like security conferences. But it was good. So from my perspective, I think a lot of the stuff I enjoy was just walking around, checking out the different villages. I really wanted to check out the Red Team village, but their line for that was just ridiculous.
Yeah. We got in last year. It took about 10 minutes to get in. But this year we walked past and there were pen testers and red teamers who had just come for that village that couldn't get in for the 2 days. It's too much. Yeah,
it was insane. But I did get to go to the Blue Team village, hang out there, went around to a couple of the other villages in the main Caesars forum, which are pretty good. Also had a lot of fun with capture flag, as Milan mentioned. That was good, getting exposure to new tools as well. So hopefully that'll be available later. We can carry on when we get back home. But also the networking side for me as well, just meeting new people. We met some really cool blue teamers here as well, and made good friends with them. So
yeah, absolutely. There was a really great presentation I went to, the Viasat satellite compromise or the attack that happened, and the response that they did on that. And they showed a number of the areas and all the public information that's been available for a while. But it was interesting for me to see the process they went through. It's just like any other incident response we face. And circles back to what you were saying around using new tools and things. They were mentioning that as engineers, they looked at things and went, whoa, this is really interesting. But the bit that I found the most is that the part of the compromise came through stolen credentials on a Fortinet VPN. I wasn't aware of this, and I was just like, wow, it's even these massive organizations that are running global satellite communications, they get done by a Fortinet VPN.
Just need one unpatched device, and that's all it takes.
That's what it always comes back to, right? Chris, what about you? What's the main things? This has been your first big conference, your first DEF CON as well. What have you taken away from this?
So the one talk that really got me hot under the collar was finding private credentials in public spaces. And just watching like a seasoned red teamer start tinkering with something, figuring out how does this work, and going to like a CVE and full compromise just because a engineer got lazy and hard-coded credentials into something.
It's not uncommon though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is. But that was really exciting to watch. Just like someone pulling apart, or like literally following the cookie crumbs until you get what you want. Like that's awesome. Apart from that, I think I might have lined up in the wrong places. I tried to get into Blue Team Village. I was excited for one talk. When it started, could not hear anything. Everyone's doing the CTF. Everyone's chatting.
Yeah. And this is what we're saying about the busyness of it, right? And I know that the team loves to keep around that link area and Caesars Forum and the Flamingo and inside the link itself. But there's this phenomenal conference center that's just been built in Las Vegas that I've looked at last year and this year and gone, I wonder if it'll ever move. There's 40,000 people that are here. Maybe it's time to start looking at one of these convention centres that would draw people away from the Link Promenade as well, which is probably not a bad thing because 3/4 of the people walking through Link Promenade have got a DEF CON badge on, and it's a very small promenade if you've never been to Las Vegas. It's a bit much. I think it's something else really key for me that I took away. I had a conversation with a number of red teamers and blue teamers, purple and engineers across the board, but there's general sentiment across the board that DEFA and Blue Team are really starting to become that the leader. It's been pen testing and red teaming for years. But obviously the unfortunate news dropped the day the DEFCON, the day Black Hat started actually, about Rapid7 doing their layoffs.
Yeah.
So that I was speaking to people. We didn't go to Black Hat. Just the cost is far too much. But people said that news sucked the wind out of the whole business hall on day one of Black Hat. Apparently it had a massive impact. And the numbers were down apparently on Black Hat, because we've obviously seen budgets being reduced, travel being reduced, a lot of stuff being pulled back, and $650 just to go to the business hall, and something like $3,500 to attend Black Hat, when DEFCON's $400, 410, I think it is. It just shows that stark difference that DEFCON was packed, but Black Hat was a little bit less this year. But that's really something that I took away, that there was very much a different feeling of this year of red team versus blue team. And we said that in the previous special episode, we're going to put red team and blue team into a room with a pair of boxing gloves. But I think that might be what has happened this year. There's been a bit of a change. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, I met a lot more blue teamers this year than I did last year. Even like some of the people that we met when we were in Austin for the Sans Diva Summit, they were here as well.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah, it's been great. Unfortunately as well, there was the NCC announcement. There were people landing from NCC and finding out that their colleagues had been retrenched and let go. So again, it kind of knocked the wind out of the sails for a few people. So the cyberspace is just doing that bit of a shift at the moment, because we're seeing more things. Any presentations anyone went to that you got that same sort of feeling? I think, Chris, you mentioned the workshops. There was a lot of workshops as well this year. A lot more demonstrations of things, and a lot of demonstrations from blue teamers as well, which is really good to see, of hunting and finding different things. Any specific workshops you went to, Chris, that you really enjoyed?
None that I could hear, unfortunately. So I'll be honest. I'll get the recordings and dissect them when I get home, but...
And I think that's the benefit of it as well, right? It's the networking. I was speaking to, again, you can tell that I mainly spoke to people rather than going to presentations. And the feeling was that the presentations are available. They're recorded. We can watch them. But you know what you can't record and watch?
Social.
Networking and really getting to speak to people, because half the people I ran into, I haven't seen them for 5 years because they didn't come last year. Then we had COVID, and we've been very slow to get back as a community into in person. So it was really good to see people, and shout out to the organisers of the Australia party last night. It was really good to see that. So. Rich, before we wrap up, any final thoughts that you'd like to give?
No, just overall good experience. I'm hoping
not to come next year, because 3 in a row is pretty big.
It's pretty big. That's true.
But you are submitting a CFP for next year.
So that's the if I come back, it'll be to present or do a workshop or something like that. And I think that's my my hope, is that Blue Team continues to expand here as well. Like, I'd love to see, the village expand, get more streams going, things like that. But obviously, people need to volunteer their time and build that stuff out.
He's staring at you, Milan.
Yeah,
I think there's a CFP going there as well.
Maybe we can assist in making that a reality.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I know I won't be coming next year, even if you're successful. It's just 2 is good, 3 in a row, unless it moves to somewhere bigger. I really would like to see it move, because I missed out on presentations just because of the lines. And the lines were just too big, and this is on prezos, not just workshops or the specific villages. I went to a lot more presentations last year, so very, very different DEFCON for me. Yeah. Milan, how about you? Any further last takeaways?
Probably something that you mentioned, networking. This was the biggest conference that I've been to, not just cybersecurity, like the biggest conference ever. And this was the time when I've talked to so many people from same security background, and then probably I would have had chat with like hundreds of blue teamers in one place. So this was the first time for me. So it was really good to network with so many different people, hear about their thoughts, how they work, how they handle incidents differently from what we do, and getting that validation as well, like what we are doing, what we are seeing is the things that they are seeing as well. So it was really good, and it was probably the best thing for me in this conference.
Oh, love it. The networking. Talk to everyone. It was funny that someone walked past me at DEF CON and said, "Oh, dude, do you know where this place is that I'm searching for?" And yeah, absolutely, it's down there. And we got chatting. He's got a GRC background. He's been doing it for 2 years. And any advice you can give for someone to get into the industry? And we're all wearing just plain black T-shirts, and we're not putting the TL logo or anything out there, and giving him some advice. And he says, "Oh, can I add you on LinkedIn?" Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are far too many social engineers out here.
Yeah.
You might be telling me that you've been in GRC for 2 years. Really, you could be trying to social engineer me. That was funny. I did play a little bit of blackjack. And I was sitting there, and we successfully social engineered someone's full name, mother's maiden name, and birthday. Between four of us sitting at the table, there was one person we just identified who wasn't at DEF CON. None of us were wearing badges or anything. We social engineered him, and we said, we literally said to him, we haven't taken that information, we're doing nothing with it, but it shows the general misunderstanding from the public. And then even the dealer says, do not connect to the Wi-Fi this week.
The dealer's more aware than the guy sitting there.
Well, when the dealers are aware, it says that we are starting to get into the public, but that poor guy who just gave her all of his personal data and was on the public Wi-Fi, it was just, we've got a lot of work to do.
We'll see him as a customer soon enough.
CT, any final thoughts from you?
God, I can't wait to get home.
I think we all feel that way, but it's a long flight.
It's
back.
a long flight. No, I had some really interesting conversations with some red teamers, more specifically department managers, and we were talking about grads, the industry, breaking into cyber in general, and it's cool to see that a lot of the suspicions I had with what's happening in schools and recent grads is being seen across the industry, so it's not just us. But yeah, I think blue team is becoming sexy now. Like, look at me, I'm wearing blue, of course. But yeah, I think what you said before, how there's a shift away from red teaming to more like defense logging and analysis. Like, I'm beginning to see that now, and it's actually quite cool.
Yeah, so. It's fantastic. I love talking to people and hearing the words detection engineering.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's cool. We obviously built our DE team. Feels like a lifetime ago. Feels like Matt's been with us forever. But it's only been pretty recent in the last 18 months. Excuse me. And then a lot of people in threat hunting as well. There was a lot of threat hunters. So to see more rise in detection engineering and threat hunting, excuse me, has been absolutely phenomenal. So more and more organizations doing this and taking on these responsibilities was absolutely wonderful. Loved it. Well, team, thank you very much for joining me this early on a Sunday morning before we have a long flight back. Yep. You're going via San Francisco, Richard.
Yep.
Milan and Chris going via LA. I've got a short flight down. I'm taking some time down in Central America, so my flight's not as long. But I am jealous that you guys are actually getting back to Australia. I copped it in the last one that I only spend 7% of my time in Australia. I think it's around 5%. I corrected them, but I do get back at the end of November for at least the next couple of years. So I'm very much looking forward to it. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen, to the team that aren't here. It's been fantastic spending time with them, and I will see you back in Australia when I also get there. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.